Peter Collins stared at his computer screen, his coffee growing cold beside him. The data from the deep space sensors made no sense. For the third night in a row, strange energy patterns appeared at the edge of the Kuiper belt, far beyond Neptune's orbit. "Hey, Linda, can you look at this?" he called to his research partner. Linda Brown walked over, her lab coat swishing as she moved. She leaned over his shoulder, her eyes narrowing at the readings. "That's impossible. Nothing should be giving off that much light out there." Peter nodded, running his hand through his messy brown hair. "Exactly. And look at the pattern. It's too regular to be natural." The lights in the lab flickered suddenly, making both scientists jump. Their computers blinked off, then on again. When the screens came back to life, every monitor in the room showed the same image, a swirling pattern of golden light. The pattern began to move, forming shapes that looked almost like letters. Peter and Linda watched in amazement as the shapes transformed into English words. "We come in peace. We are the Futarians. We must speak with your leaders." Linda grabbed Peter's arm. "Are you seeing this? Call the director," Peter said, his voice surprisingly steady. Now, within an hour, the small research lab in Colorado was packed with government officials, military personnel, and scientists from various agencies. Director Susan Clark, a stern woman in her 50s, took charge of the situation. "Mr. Collins," she said, "explain everything from the beginning." As Peter described the strange energy readings, the golden light on the screens grew brighter. Suddenly, it expanded outward, forming a three-dimensional shape in the middle of the lab. People backed away, some reaching for weapons, but the light didn't harm anyone. Instead, it took the form of a tall, humanoid figure made entirely of flowing golden energy. "Please do not be afraid," the figure said, its voice like chimes in the wind. "We are the Futarians, beings of pure light energy. We have traveled far to reach you because we need your help, and you need ours." Director Clark stepped forward, her face calm despite the extraordinary situation. "I am Director Susan Clark. Why have you come to Earth?" The light being's form rippled. "A darkness is coming to your solar system. The Umbrans, warriors who consume stars and harness dark energy, are approaching. They will reach your system within 1 Earth year." The room erupted in whispers and worried murmurs. Peter noticed how the Futarians' light dimmed slightly when mentioning the Umbrans, almost as if showing fear. "Why should we believe you?" Amanda Nash asked, stepping forward. As Earth's chief diplomat for extraterrestrial affairs, a position that had been largely ceremonial until now, she had been rushed to the facility by helicopter. The Futarian raised what looked like an arm, and a beam of light shot from it to the main screen. Images appeared showing massive black ships that seemed to absorb all light around them. "The Umbrans have already consumed 3 star systems in this sector. They leave only darkness in their wake. We have been fighting them for millennia, trying to protect younger civilizations like yours." Amanda studied the images carefully. "And what exactly do you want from us?" "We offer an exchange," the Futarian said. "We will share our light-based technology to help you defend your world. In return, we ask for your aid in our fight against the darkness." Peter couldn't help but speak up. "Your technology, what can it do?" The beam turned to him, its golden form brightening. "We can show you how to harness light itself as both energy and weapon. We can teach you to build ships that travel near light speed, to create shields of pure energy, to communicate across vast distances instantly." Director Clark and Amanda exchanged glances. "We'll need to consult with world leaders," Amanda said. "This isn't a decision we can make alone." "Of course," the Futarian agreed. "But please understand, time is short. The Umbrans send scout ships ahead of their main fleet. They could arrive any day to begin their surveillance." Over the next week, Peter and Linda worked closely with the Futarian, who called itself Azure, while world leaders debated the situation. They learned that the Futarians came from a system with 3 suns, evolving to become beings of pure energy over millions of years. Azure showed them basic principles of their technology, enough to prove they weren't lying. Peter watched in amazement as the being helped them modify their sensors to detect Umbran energy signatures. "Your species is unique," Azure told them one evening. "You understand both light and darkness. You sleep in darkness but work in light. You comprehend the balance in a way we never could." Linda looked up from her notes. "Is that why you chose us?" "Because we understand both." Before Azure could answer, alarms blared throughout the facility. Peter rushed to his computer, checking the modified sensors. His heart sank as he saw the readings. "Director," he called out, "we're detecting dark energy signatures at the edge of the solar system. 3 of them, moving fast." Azure's form flickered with anxiety. "Scout ships. They're here earlier than we expected. You must decide now. Will Earth stand with us against the darkness?" Amanda Nash, who had been authorized to speak for the United Nations Security Council, stepped forward. Her face showed the weight of the decision, but her voice was firm. "We will accept your help," she said, "and we will stand with you. But we do this to protect Earth, not to fight someone else's war. We expect full transparency about everything you know regarding these Umbrans." Azure's form grew brighter, almost brilliant. "Of course. We will begin immediately. The Umbrans must be stopped before they drain your sun and destroy everything you've built." As the facility burst into action, with orders being given and personnel rushing to their stations, Peter couldn't help but feel both excitement and fear. Humanity had just been thrust onto an interstellar stage, caught between ancient beings of light and darkness. He looked at his computer screen, where the dark energy signatures of the Umbran scouts grew stronger. Somewhere out there in the darkness of space, warriors of shadow were approaching Earth, and humanity's only allies were beings made of the very thing the warriors sought to consume: light itself. Linda put her hand on his shoulder. "Pretty amazing for a regular Tuesday, huh?" Peter managed a small smile. "Yeah, 1 minute you're analyzing weird energy readings, the next you're helping prepare Earth for an interstellar war." "At least it's not boring," Linda said, turning back to their work. As they began studying the first pieces of Futurian technology, Peter couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to this story than their new allies were telling them. But with Umbran scouts already in the solar system, they had no choice but to trust the beings of light. The race to prepare Earth's defenses had begun. 3 months after first contact with the Futurians, Captain Ryan West stood on the bridge of the newly retrofitted spaceship Freedom, watching his crew work with the strange light-based controls. The ship hummed with a combination of human and Futurian technology, golden energy flowing through transparent tubes that lined the walls. "Status report," he called out to his bridge crew. Lieutenant Kate Morrison looked up from her station, her fingers dancing through beams of light that acted as controls. "All systems are stable, Captain. The new light drive is operating at 89% efficiency." "Not good enough," said Azure, the Futurian advisor who floated near the captain's chair. "The Umbran scouts are capable of reaching 95% light speed. We must push the systems harder." Ryan frowned. In the past weeks, he'd noticed the Futurians always seemed to be pushing for more speed, more weapons, more everything. "We can't risk burning out the systems, Azure. These ships still have human crews." Before Azure could respond, alarms blared across the bridge. "Dark energy spike," Kate shouted. 3 signatures, approaching from the direction of Neptune. "Show me," Ryan ordered. The main view screen lit up, displaying the cold darkness of space. At first, there was nothing visible. Then they saw them, 3 shapes that seemed to absorb the starlight around them, leaving patches of absolute darkness against the star field. Umbran scout ships. Azure's light form flickered anxiously. "They're testing your defenses." Ryan straightened in his chair. "Battle stations. Lieutenant Morrison, power up the light shields. Weapons Officer Kelly, prepare the photon cannons." The crew moved with practiced efficiency, even though none of them had ever faced a real alien threat before. The Freedom's engines hummed louder as power was diverted to defensive systems. "Sir," said Communications Officer Ben Carter, "we're receiving a transmission. It's different from anything we've seen before." "Put it through," Ryan ordered. The bridge speakers crackled with a sound like whispering shadows. Then it formed into words, deep and resonant. "Children of Earth, you harbor creatures of false light. Stand aside. This is not your war. Azure moved forward. Don't listen to them. They'll destroy everything." Ryan held up his hand for silence. "This is Captain Ryan West of the Earth ship Freedom. You've entered our solar system without permission. State your intentions. We seek only the light thieves," the shadow voice replied. "Your species understands darkness. You sleep in it. You dream in it. Why protect those who would ban night from your world?" Kate Morrison looked up from her station. "Captain, I'm detecting something strange. The dark energy they're emitting. It's not just weapon signatures. There's a pattern to it, almost like they're trying to maintain something." "Enough talk," Azure interrupted. "They're charging weapons." The first blast from the Umbran ships wasn't energy or light. It was pure darkness, a beam that seemed to swallow everything in its path. The Freedom's light shields flared golden against the attack. "Shields holding at 60%, Kate reported. "The hybrid technology is working." Ryan gripped his chair as the ship shuddered. "Return fire. Target the lead vessel." The Freedom's photon cannons released streaks of brilliant light that cut through space. The Umbran ships dodged with incredible speed, but one blast caught the smallest scout ship on its side. Instead of an explosion, they saw the light simply vanish into the dark surface. "Direct hit," Kelly shouted. But no damage. Azure's form pulsed with frustration. "Their hulls absorb energy. We need more power." Kate Morrison spoke up again, her voice excited. "Captain, I have an idea. Their ships absorb light, but what if we overload them? Everything has a limit." Ryan nodded quickly. "Do it." Kate's fingers flew over the light controls, redirecting power. The Freedom's weapons changed from focused beams to wide-spectrum bursts of pure energy. The first blast hit an Umbran ship head-on. For a moment, nothing happened. Then cracks of light appeared in the darkness of the ship's hull, like a black egg breaking from the inside. The Umbran ships immediately retreated, vanishing into the darkness of space with incredible speed. The bridge crew sat in stunned silence. "We did it," Ben whispered. "We actually drove them off." But Ryan wasn't celebrating. "Kate, what exactly did you do?" The lieutenant was already analyzing data on her screen. "Sir, I noticed something in their energy patterns. They're not just absorbing light. They're storing it, using it somehow. I figured if we overwhelmed their storage capacity." "Interesting theory," Azure said, but Ryan noticed the Photarian's light had dimmed slightly. "We should focus on improving the weapons for next time." "No," Ryan said firmly. "Lieutenant Morrison, I want you to study those energy patterns. If the Umbrans are storing light energy, I want to know why." Over the next few days, as the Freedom patrolled the outer solar system, Kate worked tirelessly on her analysis. Ryan found her in the ship's lab late one night, surrounded by holographic displays of energy patterns. "Captain," she said without looking up, "I think I've found something. Look at these readings. The Umbrans aren't just absorbing energy. They're feeding it to something big, out there in deep space." Ryan studied the patterns. Could it be their main fleet? Maybe. But why would ships need to be fed light energy? Unless... She paused, her eyes widening. Unless they're not just ships. Unless they're keeping something alive. Before they could discuss it further, Azure floated into the lab. "Captain, we've detected more dark energy signatures. At least 6 ships this time." Ryan straightened up. "Alert the fleet." But Azure, After this is over, we need to talk. I think it's time you told us everything about why the Umbrans need this energy." Azure's form flickered. "Of course, after we deal with the threat." As Ryan hurried to the bridge, he couldn't shake the feeling that this conflict was far more complicated than either side was admitting. But with more Umbran ships approaching, those questions would have to wait. The next battle for Earth's solar system was about to begin, and this time, humanity had questions for both their allies and their enemies. Professor Daniel Hayes sat in his dimly lit office at NASA's Space Research Center, surrounded by holographic displays showing data from both Futarian and Umbran encounters. For weeks, he had been studying the strange energy patterns Lieutenant Morrison had discovered, and what he found troubled him deeply. His office door opened, and Laura Bennett from the communications team walked in, carrying a tablet filled with decoded Umbran transmissions. "Professor, you need to see this," she said, her voice tight with concern. "I've finally broken through their secondary language patterns. The messages we intercepted, they're not battle commands. They're distress signals." Daniel pushed his glasses up his nose and took the tablet. As he read through the decoded messages, his face grew increasingly serious. "This changes everything." He reached for his phone and dialed Captain West's direct line on the Freedom. "Captain, is this line secure?" "Confirmed secure, Professor. What have you found?" "I need you and Lieutenant Morrison to see this right away. And Captain, don't bring your Futarian advisor." An hour later, Ryan West and Kate Morrison sat in Daniel's office, looking at the evidence spread across his displays. Laura stood by the door, making sure they weren't interrupted. "Look at these energy patterns," Daniel said, pointing to a complex diagram. "The Umbrans aren't weapons platforms or invasion forces. They're transport ships, carrying what's left of their civilization." Kate leaned forward, her eyes widening. "The energy storage, they're not collecting it for weapons." "No," Daniel said softly. "They're collecting it to stay alive. The Umbrans evolved in a star system that was dying. They developed their technology to absorb and store light energy to survive. But now what?" Ryan asked. Laura stepped forward with another decoded message. "According to these transmissions, the Futarians have been expanding their territory for centuries. Every system they protect, they flood with constant light. The Umbrans can't survive in those conditions. They need periods of darkness to process the energy they collect." Ryan's face hardened. "Are you saying the Futarians are driving them out of their homes?" "Not just driving them out," Daniel said. "They're making entire sectors of space uninhabitable for the Umbrans. Their crusade against darkness isn't about protection. It's about expansion." Kate pulled up her own data from the recent battles. "That's why their ships seem so desperate to collect energy. They're not just fighting us. They're trying to gather enough resources to keep their people alive." The office door suddenly opened, and Amanda Nash walked in. The chief diplomat looked like she hadn't slept in days. "Good, you're all here. We have a bigger problem. The Futarians are asking for permission to build light amplification stations around Earth." "They what?" Ryan stood up quickly. "They say it's to protect us from Umbran attacks," Amanda explained. But after seeing these readings, she gestured at Daniel's displays. "It would drive the Umbrans away," Laura said. "But it would also give the Futarians complete control over our solar system's energy output." Daniel walked to his main display and brought up a new simulation. "Look at what happens to a system after Futarian protection is established." The hologram showed a solar system where every planet was bathed in constant, intense light. No natural day and night cycle. No darkness at all. It would devastate Earth's ecosystems. "But why?" Kate asked. "Why would they do this?" "Power," Amanda said simply. "They're not protecting younger civilizations. They're colonizing them." The Umbrans were just the first species to resist. Ryan began pacing the office. "We need to warn the defense fleet. If the Futarians realize we know the truth." A golden glow suddenly filled the room as Azure materialized. "I'm afraid we can't allow that, Captain." Everyone froze. Laura quietly pressed a button on her tablet, starting an emergency broadcast to the fleet. "How long have you been listening?" Amanda asked, her voice steady despite the tension. "Long enough." Azure's form pulsed with an intensity they'd never seen before. "We offered you protection, advanced technology, a place among the light. Why do you insist on understanding the darkness?" "Because we're human," Daniel said, standing up. "We need both light and darkness, just like the Umbrans do." "The darkness must be purged," Azure declared, "if you won't accept our protection willingly." Multiple alarms suddenly blared throughout the facility. On Daniel's displays, they could see massive energy signatures appearing in orbit. "The Photarian fleet," Ryan said grimly. "They're not waiting for permission anymore." But then something else appeared on the screens. Dark shapes moving fast toward Earth, far more than they'd seen before. The Umbran ships weren't running this time. Laura's tablet beeped. Incoming transmission from the Umbran fleet. The same deep, shadowy voice they'd heard before filled the room. "Children of Earth, you have seen the truth. We offer you a choice. Stand with us against the light tyrants, or stand aside. Unlike them, we will respect your decision." Azure's form flared blindingly bright. "You cannot trust them. They are darkness itself." "No," Kate said firmly. "They're survivors, just like us. And you're the ones who've been lying." Amanda Nash stepped forward, her diplomatic training evident in her calm voice. "Azure, tell your fleet to withdraw from Earth space immediately. We are declaring our system neutral territory." "You cannot be neutral in this war," Azure said. "You must choose the light." "We choose balance," Ryan declared. "Earth needs both light and darkness. If you can't accept that, then you're not our allies. You're our enemies." Azure's form grew even brighter, nearly blinding them. "Then you choose extinction." But before the Futarian could act, darkness swept through the room, not threatening, but protective, like a cool shadow on a hot day. When it cleared, Azure was gone. "The Umbrans," Laura explained, checking her tablet. "They're creating dark energy shields around our major cities. They're protecting us from Futarian surveillance." "How fast can you get me a channel to both fleets?" Amanda asked. "Working on it now," Laura replied, her fingers flying over her tablet. Daniel turned to them all. "Whatever happens next, we need to make something clear to both sides. Earth won't be a battleground for their ancient war. We'll fight to protect our balance, our right to have both light and darkness." Ryan nodded grimly. "I'll get back to the Freedom. The fleet needs to be ready. For anything." As they rushed to their positions, Kate lingered for a moment. "Professor, do you think we can really stand against them? Either of them?" Daniel looked at his displays, where Futarian and Umbran ships were taking positions around Earth. "We have to try. Because if we don't stop this now, the war between light and darkness will never end." The fate of Earth now hung in the balance, caught between beings of pure light and warriors of darkness. But humanity had one advantage neither side expected. They understood both. Earth's orbit had become a battlefield. Streaks of golden light clashed with waves of darkness as Futarian and Umbran ships fought above the planet. On the bridge of the Freedom, Captain Ryan West watched the chaos unfold. "Status report," he called out to his crew. "Futarian ships are trying to establish light amplification stations in orbit." Kate Morrison reported from her station. "Umbran forces are blocking them, but they're taking heavy damage." "What about our shields?" Ryan asked. "Holding for now," Ben Carter answered from communications. "Engineer Ward's new hybrid system is working better than expected." Christopher Ward had been working nonstop in the engine room, combining Futarian and Umbran technology in ways neither species had thought possible. The young engineer believed that light and darkness could work together, and his hybrid shields were proving him right. "Captain," Ben called out suddenly, "incoming transmission from the surface." "It's Professor Hayes." Daniel's tired face appeared on the main screen. "Captain, we've got a serious problem. The Futarians aren't just trying to flood our system with light. They're attempting to alter our sun. Ryan felt his stomach drop. What do you mean, alter? They're using their technology to increase its energy output, Daniel explained. If they succeed, Earth will become like their other protected worlds, bathed in constant, intense light. But that would destroy most life on Earth, Kate said, horror in her voice. Exactly, Daniel replied. They're not giving us a choice anymore. Ryan turned to his weapons officer. Target those Futarian devices near the sun. We have to. A blast of golden light rocked the ship, cutting off the transmission. 3 Futarian vessels had broken through the Umbran line and were heading straight for them. Hybrid shields at 40%, Ben shouted. Engineering to bridge. Christopher Ward's voice came through the intercom. Captain, I have an idea. The Futarians keep saying they want to eliminate darkness, right? Well, what if we show them they need it? Explain quickly, Ryan ordered as another blast hit the ship. Their light-based technology requires regular cooling periods, Chris explained. That's why their ships pulse instead of glowing constantly. They need moments of darkness to prevent overload. They've forgotten this, but we can remind them. Kate's eyes lit up with understanding. We could use the Umbran's dark energy technology to force their systems to cool down. Do it, Ryan commanded. Chris and Kate worked quickly, modifying the Freedom's hybrid systems. The next time the Futarian ships attacked, the Freedom responded not with light or darkness, but both together. The effect was immediate. The Futarian ships' golden glow began to flicker as their systems were forced into a cooling cycle. Their attacks weakened, then stopped completely. It's working, Kate exclaimed. Their ships are entering safe mode to prevent overload. Ryan opened a channel to the Umbran fleet. This is Captain West. Our engineer has found a way to neutralize Futarian weapons without destroying their ships. Transmitting the data now. The deep, shadowy voice of the Umbran commander responded. Fascinating. You use darkness not to destroy light, but to help it function properly. Perhaps there is wisdom in your balance. More Futarian ships arrived, but now the Earth fleet and Umbran vessels worked together, using the hybrid technology to disable them without destruction. Soon, the space around Earth was filled with dormant Futarian ships, their crews forced to confront the truth about their own technology. Amanda Nash, watching from Earth's defense headquarters, saw her opportunity. This is Chief Diplomat Nash to all vessels. We are willing to begin negotiations. The choice is yours. Work with us to find balance, or leave Earth space immediately. For a long moment, there was silence. Then, a new voice came through, different from Azure, older and wiser. This is High Commander Solaris of the Futarian fleet. The voice chimed like distant bells. We have forgotten much, it seems. In our drive to spread light, we ignored its connection to darkness. Both are necessary, came the Umbran commander's reply. As these humans have shown us. In the Freedom's engine room, Chris examined the readings from his hybrid system. Captain, I think I found something even more interesting. When light and dark energy work together, they create a new kind of power, more efficient than either alone. Send your findings to Professor Hayes, Ryan ordered. This could be the key to more than just defense. Over the next few hours, representatives from all 3 species gathered in a specially prepared room at Earth's defense headquarters. The chamber was designed with alternating areas of light and shadow, comfortable for everyone. Amanda Nash led the discussions, with Professor Hayes and Engineer Ward presenting their discoveries about the relationship between light and dark energy. The Futarians, their forms now pulsing in a gentler rhythm, had to admit that their crusade against darkness had blinded them to fundamental truths about their own nature. Our ancestors, High Commander Solaris revealed, wrote of the dance of light and shadow, how one could not exist without the other. We thought them primitive for believing this. We were wrong. The Umbran commander, a shape of living darkness called Deep Serenity, added, We too forgot that we once worked with light, not just consumed it. Our desperation turned us from seekers to raiders. Chris showed them his hybrid technology designs. Both light and darkness have their place, he explained. Working together, they create something greater than the sum of their parts. Kate Morrison, who had joined them from the Freedom, displayed data from their recent battles. Look at these efficiency ratings. Combined energy usage is 300% more effective than either form alone. As the discussions continued, Ryan stood near a window, watching Earth below. The planet still spun peacefully, day flowing into night, and back again in an endless cycle. A cycle that had created all life on Earth, he realized, and taught humanity its first lessons about balance. Laura Bennett, who had been quietly observing and recording everything, spoke up. Maybe that's why we were able to see what you couldn't. On Earth, we experience the beauty and necessity of both light and darkness every day. We never had the chance to forget their importance. Professor Hayes nodded. Our art, our poetry, our science, all of it speaks to this fundamental balance. Even our greatest discoveries came from understanding how light and darkness work together, not against each other. As the negotiations progressed, ships from all three fleets hung in orbit around Earth. But now, instead of preparing for battle, they were beginning to work together. Photerian light technology combined with Umbran dark energy created new possibilities for exploration and advancement. The war that had raged for millennia was ending not with a victory of light over darkness or darkness over light, but with the recognition that both were essential parts of a greater whole. And it had taken a young species from a small blue planet to remind these ancient civilizations of this simple, crucial truth. Earth was no longer caught in the middle of an alien war. Instead, it had become something far more important, the place where light and darkness learned to dance together once again. 2 weeks after the space battle above Earth, Amanda Nash stood before the United Nations Security Council. Behind her, holograms showed the combined fleet of human, Photerian, and Umbran ships working together in space. The initial crisis has passed, she said, but now we face an even bigger challenge. How do we ensure this peace lasts? In the front row, Professor Daniel Hayes raised his hand. We've been studying the hybrid technology Engineer Ward developed. It's not just a weapon or a defense system. It could be the key to helping both species live together. The council chamber's lights dimmed as Daniel activated a holographic display. It showed a new type of space station, designed with both light and dark energy systems working in harmony. We're calling it the Twilight Station, he explained, a place where all three species can live and work together. The council members murmured among themselves. Building such a station would be expensive and complicated. But before they could object, Kate Morrison stepped forward with new data. Lieutenant Morrison, the council chairman said, "You have something to add." Kate nodded, pulling up her own displays. "We've been running simulations. The hybrid technology doesn't just work for ships and stations. We can use it to create habitable zones for both species in the same star systems." She showed them a simulation of a solar system where light and dark energy fields worked together, creating areas suitable for both Photerians and Umbrans. Instead of fighting over territory, she continued, they can share it. The light fields support the Photerians, while the dark energy zones give the Umbrans the darkness they need to process their stored energy. High Commander Solaris, appearing as a gentle golden light, spoke next. "My people have reviewed these plans. They are elegant. We had forgotten that true harmony requires both light and shadow." Deep Serenity, the Umbran commander, manifested as a comfortable darkness in another part of the room. "For too long, we fought to survive. Now we can do more than just survive. We can thrive together." Christopher Ward, who had been quietly working at a console, looked up. "There's more," he said. "Show them the long-range scans, Professor." Daniel changed the display to show a map of nearby star systems. "We've detected dozens of dying stars in this sector alone. Stars that the Umbrans have been trying to reach, hoping to save their people." With the hybrid technology, Chris explained, we can help them. The Futarians can provide the light energy they need, while the Umbrans can safely store and process it. No more dying stars, no more desperate searches for energy. Amanda took control of the meeting again. This is bigger than just ending a war. We have a chance to help two ancient species find a new way to live. But it will take all of us working together. The council chairman looked thoughtful. What do you propose, Ms. Nash? A three-part plan, she said firmly. First, we build the Twilight Station as a symbol of cooperation. Second, we establish joint research teams to develop more applications for the hybrid technology. And third, we create a new kind of space exploration program. One where all three species work together to help both Futarians and Umbrans find suitable homes. Ryan West, who had been watching quietly, stepped forward. The Freedom and her crew are ready to help. We've already seen what we can accomplish together. Laura Bennett, who had been documenting everything since first contact, added her own thoughts. The Futarians and Umbrans each have thousands of years of scientific knowledge. Combined with human innovation, think what we could achieve. The council chamber buzzed with discussion. Some members were worried about the costs, others about the risks. But then something unexpected happened. A young girl, the daughter of one of the council members who had been quietly watching the proceedings, spoke up. It's like my night light, she said clearly. The room fell silent as everyone turned to look at her. What do you mean, sweetie? Her mother asked. My night light, the girl explained. It's not too bright, not too dark. It's just right. It helps me feel safe, but I can still see the pretty stars through my window. Can't they share the stars like that? Amanda smiled. Out of the mouths of babes, she said softly. She's right. We're not trying to eliminate either light or darkness. We're finding the balance between them. The council chairman looked around the room, seeing heads nodding in agreement. Very well. Let's put it to a vote. The decision was unanimous. Earth would help build the Twilight Station and support the new cooperation between the species. But there was still work to be done. Kate Morrison led a team to modify more ships with the hybrid technology. Christopher Ward worked with both Futarian and Umbran engineers to design new systems. Professor Hayes and his research team studied the combined effects of light and dark energy, making new discoveries every day. In orbit, construction of the Twilight Station began. It was beautiful to watch, streams of golden light and waves of darkness working together, guided by human engineers who understood the importance of balance. Laura Bennett, recording it all, wrote in her journal, "Today we saw something remarkable. A Futarian teaching an Umbran about the beauty of starlight, while the Umbran showed the Futarian how to appreciate the peace of shadow. And between them stood a human child, unafraid of either, teaching them both how to play shadow puppets on the station ball." Ryan West, watching from the Freedom's Bridge, received a message from Amanda Nash. "Captain," she said, "we're getting requests from other star systems. Word is spreading about what we've achieved here." "Are they asking for help?" he asked. "No," Amanda replied with a smile. "They're asking for teachers. They want to learn about balance." As the sun set over Earth that evening, casting beautiful colors across the sky, Daniel Hayes stood at his office window. The first stage of their great experiment was working. Now they just had to make sure it lasted. "Professor," Kate called from the doorway, "the first joint science team is ready to begin their mission. Want to watch the launch?" Daniel nodded, following her to the observation deck. Above them, a new ship, built with technology from all three species, prepared to depart. Its mission: to help create homes where light and darkness could coexist in harmony. The war that had lasted for millennia was ending not with a victory, but with a lesson learned. Sometimes the greatest wisdom comes not from ancient beings of light or shadow, but from those young enough to see the simple truth. Every light needs its shadow, and every shadow needs its light. 1 year after the great space battle above Earth, the Twilight Station hung in orbit like a shining jewel. Its unique design featured sections of bright light and soft darkness, with beautiful areas of dusk and dawn in between. Today, the station was hosting the first Galactic Peace Summit. Captain Ryan West stood in the station's main observation dome, watching ships arrive from dozens of star systems. Each vessel showed signs of the new hybrid technology that engineer Christopher Ward had developed. "Quite a view, isn't it?" Amanda Nash said, joining him at the window. The chief diplomat looked tired but happy. She had spent months preparing for this day. "Hard to believe it was just a year ago. We were fighting for our lives," Ryan replied. "Look at them now." Below them, in the station's great hall, representatives from over 30 alien species gathered. Some were beings of light like the Photerians, others creatures of darkness like the Umbrans. Many were species caught in between, finally free to choose their own path. Laura Bennett moved through the crowd, recording everything with her special camera that could capture both light and shadow beings clearly. For the historical record, she explained to anyone who asked. But really, she wanted to capture the small moments that showed how much things had changed. She filmed a young Photerian teaching a group of human children how to create beautiful light patterns in the air. Nearby, an Umbran elder showed others how to appreciate the subtle beauty of shadow art. The two teachers occasionally paused to admire each other's work. Professor Daniel Hayes hurried through the hall, followed by Lieutenant Kate Morrison. They were headed to the science conference, where Christopher Ward was about to present their latest breakthrough. "Ready?" Daniel asked as they entered the packed conference room. Chris nodded, stepping up to the podium. His hybrid energy display systems activated, showing a new type of space drive. "We call it the Twilight Drive," he explained to the eager audience. "It uses both light and dark energy, allowing ships to travel faster and more efficiently than ever before. But more importantly, it shows us something amazing about the universe itself." He brought up a new image, a complex pattern of light and dark energy flowing through space. The universe isn't just light or darkness. It's an endless dance between the two. When we work with this natural balance instead of fighting it, we can achieve things we never thought possible. In another part of the station, Ben Carter worked with a mixed team of communication specialists. They had discovered that combining Photerian light signals with Umbran dark energy created a new form of communication that could reach across entire galaxies instantly. "Send the test signal," he instructed his team. The message went out, bouncing through the network of hybrid relay stations they had built. Seconds later, replies came back from distant star systems. The message was simple but powerful. "The balance holds. Peace continues." Back in the Great Hall, High Commander Solaris and Deep Serenity addressed the gathered representatives. The Photerian leader's light was soft and steady now, no longer the harsh brightness of before. The Umbran commander's darkness felt comfortable and protective, not threatening. "A year ago," Solaris chimed, "we thought we knew everything about light and energy. We were wrong. These humans, whom we once saw as primitive, taught us that true wisdom comes from understanding balance." Deep Serenity's voice rumbled gently. "They showed us that our differences were not weaknesses, but strengths. Together, we are building something greater than any one species could achieve alone." Amanda Nash stepped forward to join them. "Earth remains neutral territory, not because we refuse to choose sides, but because we choose to embrace both light and darkness. Our world will always be a place where day turns to night, and back again, where all species are welcome to learn, grow, and find their own balance." In the station's nursery section, something remarkable was happening. For the first time in history, young Photerians and Umbrans played together while human children taught them games. The children didn't care about ancient wars or politics. They simply enjoyed each other's company. Laura captured this moment carefully. "This," she said to her recorder, "it's how real change happens. Not just through treaties and technology, but through understanding and friendship." Ryan watched from above as more ships arrived. Some carried raw materials for building new hybrid stations. Others brought scientists and explorers ready to study the mysteries of space together. A few transported families looking to settle in the new joint colonies where light and dark species lived side by side. Kate Morrison joined him, holding a tablet with the latest sensor readings. The hybrid energy grid is stable across all 27 colonial systems, she reported. Professor Hayes was right. When light and dark energy work together, they create perfect harmony. In the medical bay, human doctors worked with Photarian healers and Umbran life energy specialists. They had discovered that combining their knowledge led to incredible breakthroughs in healing techniques. Light energy could repair damage, while dark energy could soothe pain and promote natural healing. As the summit continued, Christopher Ward met with engineering teams from various species. They were planning the next generation of hybrid ships, vessels that could explore deeper into space than ever before. The key, he explained, pointing to his designs, is not to force light or darkness to dominate. It's about finding the perfect balance for each situation. Late in the day, as the summit was wrapping up, Amanda Nash stood with the original team that had started it all. Ryan, Kate, Chris, Daniel, Laura, and Ben gathered in a quiet corner of the observation dome. "Did you ever think," she asked them, "when we first detected those strange energy readings, that it would lead to all this?" They watched as Earth turned below them, the sun creating a beautiful line between day and night on its surface. Ships of all three species patrolled together, protecting the peace they had built. Professor Hayes smiled. "You know what the most remarkable thing is? We didn't really teach the Photarians and Umbrans anything new. We just reminded them of something they had forgotten, that light and darkness are two parts of the same whole. And in doing so," Laura added, "we found our own place in the galaxy. Not as the strongest or the most advanced, but as the ones who remember the importance of balance." As stars began to appear in Earth's night sky, a new ship prepared to launch from the Twilight Station. Its crew included humans, Photarians, and Umbrans, all working together. Their mission: to explore the galaxy not as conquerors or warriors, but as partners in the greatest adventure of all, learning to live in harmony with all the shades of existence. The war between light and darkness was over. In its place, a new age had begun, an age of twilight, where all species could find their place in the eternal dance between day and night.